usually get, but this one could be extra dangerous because there's probably rotation, and that rotation can cause damage, right? Even if it's an EF0 or an EF1, it can become a very dangerous, hazardous, and unfortunately deadly situation if you're not prepared. So a closer look at that bright red spot, or dark red I should say, is where that tornado likely is. The white indicating where hail is. So this is by Waterford, just north of Montpelier, Highway 132. So again, this is in Stanislaus County, east of Modesto. We're looking for that velocity, and this is a strong coupling signature here, where you have these little green bars in the middle of red. So what's happening here, I'm going to step to the side and I can draw on this for you. I can show you exactly what the rotation would look like. So we have the red going away from the radar. So the red would be going this way. The green would be going towards the radar, so in this direction. And where you would have that tornado is right in the middle here where that coupling is. So that coupling showing us once again where the tornado could be. Let's take a closer look here, see if we can get any more detail on this. Yep. All right, so we can name out the roads. This is Hidden Hills Road. So that is just to the east right over here, Hidden Hills Road. And then you have Kooyman Street to the west. So if there is rotation, this is exactly where it would be. And let's take off that velocity map and take a closer look at what's in this area. And fortunately, again, it's farmland. We're not looking at a high population density area. Instead, we could take a closer look and have pretty good imagery here, resolution of what's down there. And it looks like rows of trees, maybe rows of bushes and shrubs that could be growing fruit, vegetables. We are in Central Valley. And instead of homes and buildings, it's mostly farmland. But here we can see there are buildings, no doubt about that. So there are some people that absolutely will be affected by this. It's not many people, but they're out there. So let's add back on the velocity map. So this is where it would be, and let's see if I could take the velocity down a bit in its transparency, and we can look through it together. Yep, there we go. So right now, that tornado, I'll outline it again for you. If it is on the ground, would be right over here, where you have the coupling of the greens and reds, but it doesn't look like the nearest building is by that. It's over farmland right now. So we'll go back to the transparency, make that a bit more transparent, and look to see what would be in its path. So we're going hyper local right over here, and if we zoom out a little bit, there's Highway 132 at the top of your screen. So the direction this would be going is this way. That's the path of it. And I could actually go back to the velocity and make it a little bit darker so we could see it again. Perfect. And we're going to put this in motion over the last hour. So you see how that's moving. It's actually moving a little bit more directly to the east instead of northeast. So we are trying to really pinpoint exactly where this is. So it's moving towards this body of water right over here, and it will continue its path this way. Closer look at this. See if any buildings are in its path here. It just looks like farmland, fortunately. It'll eventually get to Davis Street if it sticks together, and over the next 30 minutes, that should happen. Down to the south here, there is a structure. Again, this is farmland. Probably have some silos over there. And over towards where it's heading, towards Coyote Run Road, Los Cerritos Road, Lake Road, and eventually to Highway 59 towards La Grange, and over towards Barrett. That would be farther down the line. So we're really getting into this, taking a closer look at it, and we'll go back to the Doppler radar, and we could take the lightning off so that we can see this a bit more clearly. Again, there's likely going to be some large hail here. We are likely dealing with some rotation and definitely a downpour in this area, mostly over farmland. But if you know anyone in this region, again, it's a great idea to call them up and make sure that they know what's happening, make sure that they can stay safe and get out of this storm. I know a lot of us see heavy rain like this, and we think, oh, this is something we don't usually see, and we'll go outside, we'll look at it and almost admire it. Not with this one. This is one you want to stay away from when it comes from being outdoors. Many walls between you and the outdoors as possible. And here you see that very dark shade of red. We don't get that often. That's getting towards the top of our scale where it's almost turning purple. So this is some of the heaviest rain we ever see in Northern California. And this is a fairly rare event, but California averages about 11 tornado warnings per year, and they happen here in Northern California. This is going to be one of them. 11 tornadoes per year, I should say, and this is one of the warnings. So let me take a step back again. We'll put this in motion. We'll look at that path once again. So this is over the past hour. So this is moving east towards LaGrange. So that intersection of Highway 59 and 132 right over here. So if you're in that area, it's not even raining right now, but that's where the storm is moving. You definitely want to make sure that you can get inside and out of the way of this. I'm going to take a look, see if I can find any more details about this storm right now from the National Weather Service. They provide some valuable information. So this is what they're writing. A tornado warning is in effect for southern Tuolumne County in Northern California, east central Stanislaus County in central California. That's what we're looking at right now. This is in effect until 5:30, and they noticed at 4:48, so about 15 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Hickman, or 8 miles northeast of Turlock, moving east at 20 miles per hour. So this is Turlock here, you see on your screen right in the middle. I'm centering it up. And then we've been talking about Waterford, near Hickman, Montpelier. So this is also moving at 20 miles per hour, they say. We could actually do something pretty cool with this and extrapolate how long it's going to take to move to locations nearby. So we're going to take this tool, draw a line, and go towards 20 miles per hour. So it's moving in this direction. So in LaGrange, it should get there at approximately 5:35. So that would be towards the end of this expiration date of the warning. And then a little bit farther down the line, you have Barrett. That would take longer to get there. So that is just one model thinking like how long it could take. But I would say in the next 20 minutes, it would probably get closer towards LaGrange. And remember, LaGrange is right by the intersection of Highway 132 and 59. So again, farmland out here. Let's see what else the National Weather Service has to say about this. So the source is radar indicated rotation, and we're seeing that again from the velocity. That's the coupling of reds and greens, which is getting more pronounced over the past 15 minutes. We see it right there. And again, we have reds that go away towards the radar, and the radar is by Sacramento. It's actually by Davis. And then inbound towards the radar is going this way. So together, that's rotation right over here. That's where that tornado would be. All right, we'll go back to the Doppler and put this in motion again. Take that lightning off. We don't need that. And let's see what else the National Weather Service has to say. Impacts. We've been talking about this. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. So we've talked about where to go if you find yourself in a tornado, how you want to get inside and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Now, I don't see anything on the map here that would indicate there are mobile homes in the area, but this type of storm would produce damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles. Farm equipment out there, no doubt about that, so that's a concern. And tree damage is likely. So we're seeing trees based on the imagery here of the surface. Again, we could take a closer look at it. So we're keying in on this area right here. Let's fade this away and make it more transparent so that we could see the surface once again. So we're going to add the transparency. So again, this is where it is, adding transparency, and this is strictly over farmland right now. You have Hidden Hills Road right over here. This is where the rotation would be if it is touching the ground. And then you have Hawks Road just to the east of that. Not many structures here, but you do have a few. This looks like it could be the home of a farmer. So this area would be impacted shortly. I'll fade this back on. So you can see, yeah, not shortly, immediately. That's exactly where it's over right now. So there is a home that is experiencing torrential downpours, intense winds, likely some hail, and possibly a tornado. So these are the structures that we're looking at here. Fortunately, this is not over a major metropolitan area, but unfortunately, it is over some people's homes, farmland, equipment. You see some more structures to the north. Let's add back the transparency or the opaqueness of this radar, and you'll see that white, that indicates hail. So that home, while maybe not directly impacted right now when it comes to rotation, getting poured on and getting some hail. Remember, this is just east of Waterford, Montpelier, moving towards LaGrange. This is in effect for the next 25 minutes, 23 minutes technically, until 5:30. And this will remain mainly over rural areas of southern Tuolumne and east central Stanislaus counties, including the following locations: Denair, The National Weather Service says this, I repeat it too. Take cover now, move to a basement or interior room of the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows if you are outdoors, in a mobile home or in a vehicle. Move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. So while there are tornadoes that are certainly strong enough to pick a person up and toss them into the air, this does not appear to be that. Instead, it could pick up smaller projectiles. Think of branches, think of parts of broken trees, and throw them at you, and that becomes extremely dangerous. Think about yourself at a window. If you're watching and something smashes that window, all of a sudden you're exposed. So you don't even want to be out by a window during this. So here's what to do if you are in a tornado. If you're at home, avoid windows and go to the lowest floor. Basement, bathroom, closet, or under stairs. If you're in a car, drive out of the path, seek shelter in a building, and stay in the car if you can't find a building, to avoid seeking shelter under bridges, because that's actually a dangerous place to be. It becomes a wind tunnel. If you're in the open outdoors, you seek shelter in a sturdy building, you look around if there's nothing there. That's the worst case scenario, and in that case you lie flat, face down on the ground, and away from trees, because trees become a hazard for you. So think about your home. All homes are different, of course, but if you have a home like this, with a structure in the middle, it's generally a hallway or a bathroom. Those are generally safer places to be. Again, away from windows, away from those exterior rooms, that's more dangerous. And if you are able to get into a bathroom or an interior location, a hallway, you have the time to do it, cover yourself with some padding, blankets, pillows, or even a mattress. And then you can get into the basement, which is the best place to be, but we live in the Central Valley. A lot of homes, most don't have basements, so that's not even an option for some. Let's take a look at this once again. So the wide view shows some thunderstorms to our north, to the east in Amador, Calaveras counties, and then we'll go focus on this red box right here on the southeastern corner of Stanislaus County, just east of Modesto. You have those lightning strikes showing up. This is a thunderstorm, and within this thunderstorm itself, it's possible that it's producing a tornado and that rotation. So this tornado warning is in effect until 5:30. We've got another 20 minutes of this being in effect as this moves from west to east. So it's going to move across this box from Hickman towards Coulterville. And in the immediate vicinity, it's going towards LaGrange. Again, this is Montpelier right here to the south, Highway 132 and the intersection of 59, a dangerous area to be right now. And it looks like another tornado warning was just issued right now. So let me step aside. I'm going to go over to my computer and we're going to find out what's happening with this one. So if we zoom out a little bit, yep, there's a separate tornado warning. This one's a little bit farther to the south. And this one is technically going to be in Merced County. We see the county line right over here. This is our county line between Stanislaus and Merced County. So take that off the map and let's find out about this tornado warning. We're going to add the Doppler radar. That's a separate cell there. It's breaking off. Now with this cell, not really seeing as high reflectivity. We're not seeing that curve hook shape that you'd look for a tornado warning. But let's go into the velocity, see if that's where it is. And sure enough, yep, all you need is a couple of those pixels there. This green right over here, enough to indicate that there may be rotation. And the one that we've been watching right over here. And this is the new one that has just been warned. So let's zoom back out here on the Doppler and get you some info. We could take off the lightning strikes. Don't need to see that for more clarity there. And we are going to query this second warn system. And let's see what it has to say about this. All right, so this query. This issued 5:10, which is just a minute ago, until 5:45. All right, National Weather Service in Hanford, California has issued a tornado warning for western Mariposa, central California, southeastern Tuolumne County, that's what we've been looking at, and north central Merced County in central California. At 5:10 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles northeast of Delhi or 11 miles east of Turlock, moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. So these are like mirror images of each other here, just one to the north and one to the south. The main hazard being a tornado, radar indicated rotation, impact. This is reiterating what we've already known. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This tornadic thunderstorm will remain mainly over rural areas of western Mariposa, southwestern Tuolumne, and north central Merced counties. Take cover now. Move to a basement or interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. If you're outdoors in a mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris. Okay, so it's the same type of warning that we just saw, that we've been talking about, and this is the one we're more concerned with here, that we've been tracking for the past about 20 minutes now already. Time's flying by. Remember, this one is moving west to east. So let's extrapolate again, now that we're getting some more recent radar scans. I'm going to take a closer look at this. We're going to zoom in a bit more, and we're focusing on the red box to the north here. So we're going to draw a line of where the heaviest rain is and where the rotation may be. It's moving at 20 miles per hour. So we're moving this direction out to 20. Yeah, there's not much here. It's such a rural area. It's not even picking up on any towns. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit more. We know LaGrange is in that area. So if you know anybody that's in LaGrange right now or could be, give them a call. Again, you want to make sure that they're aware of what's happening and that they can get inside. This is not the type of storm you just want to stare out and appreciate. We're going to do that from indoors and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So we're redrawing our line here. We're going 20 miles per hour. Let's do 15 for the sake of visibility here. And this would be in LaGrange. It's saying in 30 minutes, probably a little bit faster than that based on what we've been noticing here. Zoom back out here. Let's take a closer look at exactly where this tornado could be. So we're going to go back to velocities. Remember, this is the red and green that tells you if the wind is moving towards or away from the radar. So we have inbound and outbound air. Close look here, and I'll show you exactly where this would be, right? So the red is outbound air away from the radar, and the radar is going to be to the northwest, and the green is inbound. So this is where we would have our rotation, and we're going to fade away the velocity here so we can see what's on the surface, what's right below us, and see if it's farmland or if there are any structures there. So let's get the transparency up, and it's right over this body of water here. And a closer look. We've got a road, Davis Road to the south. Coyote Run is what it turns into when you veer to the west. And to the north of this area, there's not much here. So again, I mean, this is good news. If you have a tornado, you want it in a very unpopulated area, one that doesn't have a lot of towns, a lot of metropolitan action. Instead, this is farmland. Of course, horrible for the farmer, the person who owns this land, but at least it's not impacting hundreds or thousands of people here. To the east, you have Coyote Run, right? Los Cerritos Road, Lake Drive, Lake Road, and a closer look at the surface here. Let's see if there are any structures in its path. Let's see, this ground right here. Yeah, it looks like there's a building here, maybe one home or two homes and some farm equipment, possibly a home. So yeah, there are a few people out here that could definitely be impacted, and hopefully they're watching right now. Hopefully they're inside and taking cover because it's pouring right now and the winds are probably whipping. They're probably experiencing some hail. And again, if you know anyone in this region, you want to make sure that they're aware of what's happening. So it can be a good idea to give them a call or a text. Just make sure they know what's going on. Then you have Coulterville here, which is, again, a very rural area. When we zoom out, what we're seeing here is the transition from the valley to the foothills. We could actually see that on our map. So basically you have flat ground for a short while. Let's draw onto this. So this is the valley right over here, and then all of a sudden you see these ridges on the surface, and that's our transition zone into the foothills, and then eventually becomes the Sierra. This is a rural area, and even the farmland, you could see where that transitions from the valley where you can grow to the foothills where there's not much happening. So let's add on our boxes here. There we go. We're going to change this to Doppler. Perfect. We're going to take off that lightning. We don't need it. And we're going to fade out the Doppler radar so we can look at the surface. All right, so let's move this to fully transparent. So LaGrange, this is an area that's starting to get hilly. You could tell by the look of the surface here. And just to the west of that, yeah, you have some more farmland here. Those grids, that's what it is. You see grids and rows of trees, shrubs, you know, growing produce, growing vegetables in that area probably. And then farther to the west, you see it's even greener on the surface. So as we go from west to east, that terrain just changes, starts to get hilly, and at that point, the tornado would have a harder time sticking together. We get knocked off kilter. What the tornado needs for sustainability, what to sustain its lifespan, is flat land. And that's why you think of Tornado Alley as the center of the United States. Kansas, Nebraska, it's extremely flat. But when it starts to get into hilly, mountainous area, it gets knocked off kilter and it can no longer sustain itself. So let's add back on the Doppler and take off that lightning. And here it is. We've got this very high reflectivity area. That's what the red is indicating to us. And high reflectivity is basically telling us that there is an extreme amount of rain. And the velocity can tell us that there is some rotation. It's that green bar right there. Now we're not seeing a huge amount of that rotation. These tornadoes are likely going to, if they do get confirmed, be EF0s or EF1s. But any situation where you find yourself in a tornado from 0 to 5 can be deadly if you're not prepared. So again, you always want to make sure that you put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So we have 2 tornado warnings right next to each other, one to the south, one to the north, and this is right on the border of Stanislaus and Merced counties. So zooming out, you can get that idea of where exactly it is. And let's go ahead and add back that Doppler radar. And we can take off that lightning. And that white dot that you're looking at here, I'll outline it for you. This is indicating hail potential. So again, there's probably hail in that area. Now, another thing that we can look at that give us an idea if this is a tornado, if it's picking up debris, something called correlation coefficient. This tells us when the radar sends out a pulse of energy and it comes back, does the size of everything it's seeing correlate with each other? And sometimes, if there's debris in the air, the answer is no, and there's a high correlation coefficient. So not all the raindrops look the same, or maybe you're seeing hail here. So I try and see if we find any correlation coefficient, but since this is such a rural area, it may not show up. Yeah, I add correlation coefficient here, and there's absolutely nothing. So we're seeing what looks like perfectly correlated, it's called projectiles, that would be found by the radar. So this isn't helping us much. What's going to help us the most here is going to be this velocity map. And you have that red stacked up against the green, which shows us that there definitely could be rotation there. And this tornado warning is in place for good reason. Now, if the National Weather Service sees this, that's what can indicate the tornado. That's the radar indicated tornado activity. So we add this back on. We see that heavy rain. Now that cell to the south, definitely not looking as impressive. And something else you look for when it comes to tornadoes on radar is a hook echo, it's called. And that is a shape that literally looks like a hook or a comma that comes out of it. And we're just not getting that here. Maybe because this just isn't too strong, or it may be because a tornado is not occurring. This doesn't confirm tornadoes. This is just a warning saying that it's possible that it's happening, and if you're in this area, you want to take shelter quickly. And we're seeing this progress slowly from west to east across the tornado-warned area. And this is moving towards the intersection of Highway 132 and 59. So again, this is what we're focusing on here, east of Waterford, east of Montpelier. And you have mostly farmland. That's what all these green boxes look like. It looks like a grid. This is farmland and not a very highly populated area. And that red-green coupling together that we're seeing right over here shows you exactly where that rotation may be. So here's some reminders. If you ever find yourself in a tornado or a tornado-warned area, avoid windows, go to the lowest floor of the building that you're in. The basement, a bathroom, a closet, or under stairs tend to be safe places in a home. If you don't have a basement, which many locations in the Central Valley don't have, you pick one of those other options. If you're in a car and you know the direction of what you're seeing, if you see one area is clear, one area looks like it's torrential downpours, you drive away from the torrential downpours, right? You seek shelter in a building, stay in a car, avoid seeking shelter under bridges. That's actually a dangerous place to be. And if you're in the open outdoors, you look around, and if you can find a building, you get to that building. If not, you lie flat, face down on low ground, and stay away from trees because trees have the risk of falling. Closer look at tornado safety when it comes to being in a home. Take the roof off here and look at from above. This is our bird's eye view. You have exterior rooms, you have interior rooms. Exterior rooms like a deck, kitchen, bedroom. Garage tends to be an exterior room, right? Because you open that door and it's probably a weak point in your house. Stay away from that. You want to get inside, as many walls between you and the outside as possible. A place like a closet, hallway, bathroom tends to be one bathroom maybe that doesn't have windows. That's a safer place to be, or under some stairs. Again, that basement, that would be your number one option, but not everybody has that option here. All right, so our Doppler radar, again, wide view, shows a line that's moving all the way from Chico down to that eastern edge of Stanislaus and Merced County. And you have thunderstorms all along that line. If you look closely, you'll see the cluster of thunderstorms. But the one we're most concerned about is with the red outline. And that red outline is our tornado warning. And we have lightning strikes here coming out of a thunderstorm. Possible that we have that tornado moving from west to east. And it's moving towards Snelling. We have a southern one too. That one looks like it may not be holding together as much. And I wouldn't be surprised if the National Weather Service actually lets that one to the south expire early. That's a possibility. But a closer look at the one that we're dealing with here expires at 5:30. So this is the one just east of Hickman. All right, and that white dot right in the middle, that's what's indicating the potential for hail. So it's not only downpours, but you could have some damaging hail here, some very gusty, damaging winds within that tornado and the rotation itself. And it's right over this area of water here, south of Highway 132, moving towards LaGrange. So what I want to do now is I'm going to step to the side again, and we're going to take a look at that rotation, where it is on the velocity map, and we're going to see what's under it at the moment. We're going to try and get as local as possible to make sure that everybody in this region knows if they're in the clear or if they need to take cover, they are safe. So let's go back to the velocity map right over here. Okay, so what we're seeing here is just to the south. And yeah, we're getting some stronger coupling now, more green. Let's make that a bit more transparent so we can see what's underneath. So we're going to take our velocities and add some transparency. So beneath that, I'll go back and forth a little bit. It's mostly farmland, like we've been talking about. Now, are there any structures under here? Let's take a closer look. This is farmland for sure. Not seeing any structures. Yep, out in the corner here, actually. A couple of buildings. So, yeah, there are some people that are at risk of getting some property damage, and hopefully they're inside and safe, so they're not getting hurt. But we're likely going to see some reports of some property damage when this is all said and done. Remember, this expires in the next 5 minutes, and if the National Weather Service deems it necessary, it will extend it. And if that happens, it will go into Tuolumne and Mariposa counties, which are a bit more to the east. Let's add back on that, that velocity. All right, so again, if you're just joining us, there's a tornado warning in effect in southeastern Stanislaus County. And what we're looking at here is something called velocity. This is one feature of a radar that can tell us which way the wind is going. So our radar is going to be to the northwest. So if you have green, that means it's going towards the radar. So we're getting this direction wind. And if you have green, that's towards. Red is outbound, away from the radar. So a rotation would be right where they couple. So right over here, this is where a tornado would be on the ground. Let's go back to velocity and add some more transparency so we could see exactly what's under that circle at the moment. And yeah, it looks like there is a structure there. Take a closer zoom in. Maybe. Yeah, a few structures right there. It's pretty incredible what we can do with technology here. Yeah, so we've got maybe a home right here or just some farm equipment. And then we also have the same thing a little bit to the west on the left side of your screen. Aside from that, it's not in a very populated area, which is great news, right? Could be much more impactful if it was, but it's still going to be impactful for everyone who's in this region who's dealing with it. All right, so we're going to zoom back out. We're going to go back to our Doppler radar, see where the heaviest rain is right now, and those white dots again indicating hail. So this is a strong thunderstorm, no doubt about that, strong enough to indicate a tornado warning. And when we have strong thunderstorms like this, there's something called updrafts. So updrafts is what it sounds like. It's wind that goes up, higher up in elevation. So at the surface, this is convection. You have rising air, and rising air is what you need for a thunderstorm, what you need to form any clouds to begin with. And the stronger your rising air, the more it could take little droplets and particles up through the cloud. And as those little particles, little water droplets, get higher, they turn into ice and they aggregate one on top of the other and they come together. Eventually it gets to a point where that updraft isn't strong enough to keep it moving up through the cloud, and it's too heavy, and that falls out of the cloud, and that's what we see as hail. And I heard someone talking earlier today about how it's not even cold and they're seeing some hail. Well, hail actually happens generally in the spring and summer during thunderstorms when we have stronger updrafts. Even though it's ice, it's not a cold weather phenomenon. So we have hail likely with these systems. And those hailstones may be big enough to cause some damage in this area. We certainly have that heavy rain and we have the tornado warning in effect. But again, no tornado is confirmed here, but instead we have the conditions that may be conducive toward tornado forming, at least indicated by radar when we look at velocities. But on the radar imagery itself, there are two main things on the Doppler radar that you look for. One is high reflectivity, that's the red color, we're certainly getting that. And the other is a hook echo. And we don't really see that hook showing up. And it's quite literally a comma shape hook that you would look for. Not really getting that shape, but we have the high reflectivity and we have the velocities. Again, that's the wind direction. So we're going to go back to the wind and take a look at this and how it's shaping up here. Yeah, we're still getting those couplings, the greens and reds together, which are going to be indicating potentially a tornado, or at least rotation of wind on the ground. Let's go back to our Doppler and check in on this warning. Now from the National Weather Service, this is still in effect and it's set to expire at 5:30. It's 5:27. This is, let's see if it had updated at all. All right, so I'm going to pull this out, try and do a few things at once here. Let's take the lightning off. We don't need to see that. We know there's lightning there. It's getting in the way. All right, so we're going to query this, and this is in effect until 5:30, so it could be expiring in the next minute. If it does, we'll be able to continue with your news programming, and we'll check back in with this in the next forecast. But it's a possibility that this does expire. I mean, the shape of it isn't looking very much tornadic, just based on the radar, and when we look at the velocities, there are some hints that, yeah, it could be happening. We're seeing that green-red coupled together. So we'll see. In a few seconds, this will either be dropped and expired, or it will be extended. It's 5:30 right now, and yep, there we go, it expired. You still have that one tornado warning to the south, but I don't see that one lasting much longer either. That reflectivity just isn't indicating rotation to me. The one to the north that was heading towards LaGrange didn't quite make it to LaGrange, but instead just some large hail and some strong winds in that area. So if you've been with us, thank you very much for joining us for this tornado warning that we've been tracking. Not a common event, but it does happen every now and then, with California averaging 11 tornadoes per year. We have this tornado warning that's in Merced County that will likely expire soon too. But I'll be tracking more thunderstorms as we go throughout the evening, and I expect thunderstorms to continue until about 7 or 8 p.m. through Northern California. All right, Dennis, I'll send it over to you.